Sarslamaz. 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 Slimmaz. Sarzilmaz. 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 Okay, here's just a quick what's in the box look. So up top there is the user's manual, and of course we have the handgun, a second magazine. The first magazine is in the gun, and a couple of little cleaning things, little cleaning swab and little rod for your swabs. Also comes with this little tool right here. And what is this for? Well, this is for this pin. That tool is for that pin right there. You would use this tool to drive out that pin, and then you can replace the back straps and the sides. So the palm swells on the side and the back strap can be swapped out. There are 3 possible configurations. One of them, of course, is already on the gun. I think it's the medium. That's usually the way they do it. And I forget where these are labeled. Oh yeah, here we go. So right up top on the inside, this one says small, this one says large. So we have the medium one on the gun, which is typical. And you can even do, you can kind of mix and match with the side panels. So it's a bit H&K like in that respect. And the gun definitely takes its cue from H&K. There's no doubt about it. Here it is, my VP9. Of course, the Talon grip on it makes it a little hard to see, but you can see the general shape there. Very, very similar. So it's definitely a VP9 wannabe, in my opinion. If you're going to copy something good, and HK VP9 certainly is good. So it's not a direct copy by any means, but it takes a lot of design cues, and it's certainly looking to maybe pursue that same type of buyer who would like to have an HK, but is a little put off by the price tag, and HKs are very expensive. SAR 9 is not nearly that expensive. We'll look at the specs in a bit, but there's how it comes in the box and what you get with it. The magazines are 17 round magazines, and again there are 2 of those. So it comes pretty well equipped, definitely ready to go to the range. Sarzilmaz, I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But let's just call it the SAR 9 because that's what it's called. SAR 9. It says right there, SAR 9. That's easier to say. That's what I'm going to call it. This gun is made in Turkey. It takes its cues, design-wise, from HK, specifically, very much like the VP9 in a lot of ways, and not very much like the VP9 in many other ways. So try and talk a little bit about that as I shoot. This is a first 100 with the SAR 9. And oh, by the way, this is Ammo Apocalypse 2020, so it may not be a first full 100. It may be a first 50 or a first however many I got. I field stripped the gun, I lubricated it, ran a bore snake through the bore. Everything is good. It seems to be ready to run. These will be the very first shots. Let's do it. Sight picture is a very basic 3-dot sight picture, but it's a good one. Low profile, and there's a little non-colored notch or line under the notch of the rear sight to help you line up that front sight in case you want that extra help. Let's see if I can hit that flapper. Trigger is a little gritty, but it's not bad. It doesn't feel bad on the finger. I'm not even counting my shots, so there we go. That was 15. I loaded the magazine to 15, but it holds 17. Gun comes with 2 of those magazines, so 2 times 17, that is your capacity provided for the pistol. Pistol also has a manual ambidextrous safety that locks the trigger. Let's see if we can charge the gun with the safety on. Yes, we can. So that is always kind of an extra plus to me. If you can load and charge the handgun with the safety on, it's obviously a much safer way to do it, especially for you folks who might be a little bit newer to handguns. All right, back at it. So this gun is priced somewhere under 500 bucks, I think. That's what you should be able to find it for, although these days, again, anything goes, right? Trigger is a little hard to get a good feel for. You feel like you can stage it and then you can't. So I don't know. Like right there, I could feel I was at the wall, but then sometimes when I try to stage it to the wall, it breaks early. So I don't know. A little tough right there to get a feel for. So there is some creep. After you feel like you've gotten to the wall, see? So, trigger, not so great. I did notice when I had the gun apart, just doing a field strip and a cleaning on it, that the trigger bar and the trigger assembly in the rear are, you know, pretty cheap, to be honest. I mean, that's the best word to describe it. They're pretty cheap. It's two pieces of, almost looks like uncoated metal, just rubbing together, the way the trigger bar is set up. So I did put a little drop of oil in there in a couple spots to try and help that, and I did a lot of dry firing with it. But that's something that it might need a lot of break-in to really start to feel better, or if you were so inclined, it might even want a little bit of polish. You might want to take it to your local gunsmith and see if he can improve that for you. Shooting at the steel target, gun feels like an easy shooter, something I think maybe I can shoot well. So let me see how I do. On paper, same distance I was from that steel target, it is at 13 yards downrange. And I'm shooting Herter's 115 grain target ammo, full metal jacket. Get it while it lasts. All right, let me just see how I can do on the orange dot downrange. And I'm going to use a tight 6 o'clock. I'm going to put the orange ball right on top of the front sight. As best I can, anyway. Could definitely use a better trigger, but it's not bad. You know, for a gun in this class. The ergonomics are great. They feel really nice. Again, very similar in copy to the H&K. The sights seem to be dialed in really well. All right, so that was 10 rounds of herders, and it looks like from here they all found their home in the orange, and that's a good thing. So despite me crying about the trigger, and it is clunky, it's a clunky trigger, it does get the job done. So magazines, as I said, they're 17 rounders. They're very good quality, steel box magazines with a polymer base pad. And they're sort of very HK-like as well, although I very seriously doubt they would be compatible. But they're good magazines. They function really well. The magazine release appears to be reversible. Let's assume it is. If I find out it's not, I'll put that information up here somewhere. And the mags drop really, really easily each and every time. One of the other things that I'm a big fan of is that slide stop and slide release control do both of the things that it's supposed to do. All right, let me pick up the pace a little bit. Probably going to open the size of that group, maybe, but let's put a few more in the orange dot if I can. Yep. So if I pick up the pace a little bit, I can feel the group opening up. The trigger really is not, this is not a competition trigger, folks. Not at all. The trigger's heavy, it's gritty, and just clunky. So I'm not a big fan of the trigger, but if you take your time, you can certainly get the job done. Now, putting that in context, I'm fussy. I'm not as fussy as some other people I know, trust me, but I'm fussy because I shoot a lot of guns and I get an opportunity to shoot a lot of very, very nice handguns with really nice triggers. So I'm not trying to judge this gun based on those types of guns, because this gun is a budget handgun, imported, and it may have a price point that is much more accessible to a lot of people. It also may have an availability right now that's accessible to other people, depending on, you know, what inventories are like. So for practical purposes, for home defense, you know, personal use, trigger is perfectly fine. Definitely gets the job done. And I do like the reset.
All right, there's my first 100 look at the SAR 9 from Sarzolmaz. I think I said that right. I don't know. Sarzolmaz. How hard can that be? SAR 9, imported by SAR USA in Alabama. So in the below $500 range handguns, I think this is a nice competitor. Taking its design cues from that German/Austrian type of handgun, it is certainly ergonomic. Everything functions perfectly well. The trigger, I'm not a huge fan of. I think there could be a lot of improvement done on the trigger, but that said, for the non-discerning taste, a person who's not a trigger diva, I don't think you'd have any problems with it. Certainly very functional, has a really nice tactile reset. The stroke is a little bit long on it, but that's okay. For a defensive handgun, you kind of want that. It's just got a lot of grit. It's well equipped with two 17-round magazines. Everything functions perfectly. The controls all work exactly like they're supposed to. Has the ambidextrous safety, which is really nice. Very adequate set of stock sights on it. It's a 3-dot combat configuration, not night sights, so they're not going to glow in the dark or anything like that, but very adequate. I'm able to shoot the gun well when I try to. If I just point down range and kind of go on my instincts and start working the trigger, not so much. Then my group really opens up, and I think you saw that. But if I try, I can shoot the gun pretty well. All right, there's my first 100, my first look at the SAR 9. That's about all I've got to say today. I'm sure you'll see it again. Maybe we'll compare it to other things that I think are similar. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't already. And big thank you to my Patreon supporters. See you again soon.